Might be a little delay. We're live.
We are live.
Live. Nice. Well, this is what I envisioned, and thank you, Jakey, for kind of keeping me honest about these video recaps. This is hopefully something that becomes much more normal in this league. This camaraderie, bringing us all together, keeping us all close. That's what this league's all about. So
happy to help where I can, brother man.
Yep. Well, you keep me honest. The assistant commish, you've helped spearhead a lot of changes in this league, and this is another positive one. So
the big one, the uprising.
the uprising, yes, the uprising. But I think everyone could agree that it's been for the best. I think Ishak, even he's probably enjoying not having to do this and not having to hear our shit. So
yeah, he seems like a lot happier of a man not being GM of the league. So.
All right, so Jake had a good idea. Just a little disclaimer: this is Monday night. We think all of the matchups are final, but there could still be some crazy swings. So what we're going to do is, with the trade deadline approaching, we're going to talk a little. Well, first we're just going to do a regular weekly wrap up, and I'll follow with power rankings tomorrow. But generally speaking, me and Jake are just going to go through each matchup one at a time. We're going to talk about what we think were the. It's pretty obvious who the big players were based on points, but what was a surprise maybe, what we thought really sealed the deal for certain teams. Then after that, we're going to go into the trade deadline aspects. So we're going to say what we think the team needs to do to improve, an area of weakness, and maybe highlight one or two blue chip prospects, potential keepers that people might really be targeting at the trade deadline. So
right, and here's another disclaimer: make a trade. Everyone should be on the block making trades.
There should be a lot of trades. Last year I got a lot of flack, but for trading Demarius to Maddie, but it ended up holding up. That's what Keeper League's all about. I didn't end up keeping what the hell is his name? Flash Gordon, because he's a fucking bum.
Because he's a drug addict?
He's a drug addict. Fucking smoking weed. Who the hell would do such terrible things?
Yeah,
not me, because I don't have any right now.
Yeah, but, I'll help you out.
Jake's going to hold it down for the both of us. But, look, I made a big trade. Nobody liked it, but that's what Keeper Leagues are about. The teams that have depth, they get better. The teams that are playing for next year get their keeper, potentially. Maddie didn't end up winning, even though he was the number one team points-wise, and he got a huge stud in Demarius. So you never really know. Don't write off the season. Don't say, oh, my God, throw your hands up and the league's over. This is how Keeper Leagues work. So I do hope to see some activity over the next couple of days.
Little movement going on so far this season.
One
good trade between Beaver and Tommy, so hopefully we see some boys flying.
Yep, I agree. All right, so let's just get right into it. We're going to start our weekly recap with the matchup between me and Mr. Ishak. So I'm just looking at the matchup right here. What do I see? Well, I won, which was nice. Another big week by Luck in a row. Feels good, even though he sucked it up in the first half and his team doesn't win. But, there's still very obvious holes in my team. Kaepernick's putting up 5 points. That can't happen. Vereen, he's a questionable running back too. Probably isn't even really one. Maybe John Stewart's starting to emerge. Mike Evans finally put up the week he knew he could, and Gronk. So I put up a nice point total, but there's still some pretty obvious holes here.
Yeah, you came up with the victory, but as you mentioned, definitely some holes. Running back DeMarco Murray not really giving you what you need this year. Mm-hmm. Shane Vereen is just not a number 2 running back that you can feel confident going out every week.
No, he's not, and it's kind of surprising because that Giants offense really doesn't have tools, so you think they'd start to lean on him, but it's not clicking for him. So I'm
target something for you from a trade deadline standpoint. It looks like, your tight end is an absolute animal and just beat my Jets. Gronkowski is just a beast.
Yeah, he's a rental, so he could certainly be on the block if I need to make a move for a good running back or something like that. My wide receivers are pretty solid with Evans playing well, and obviously Keenan Allen's on fire, but Keenan Allen might be my keeper. He's or a keeper target. He's the 3rd rounder.
Right, and Matthews gave you a decent week too. So Pierre Garcon on the bench. So you're all right at wide receiver, but running back, definitely something you need to target.
Yeah, and I'm really going to need something from Kaepernick. There's not really much else I could say about that unless I make a trade for a quarterback too, which is tough. But enough about my team. Let's move on to Eshak's team.
Shaq's team on paper looks pretty decent. I mean, Flacco and Manning can throw the ball, though. Manning, 170 yards. He's your boy, bro, but not really coming through here.
No, that's 2 weeks in a row disappointing performances from Manning. I mean, Shaq's got EJ Manuel on the bench, who seems to be playing well, though. Who knows what's going to go on with his job when if Tyrod ever comes back. So EJ Manuel could have some value.
Julio Jones is obviously a beast. Crabtree, Nate Washington, 34 points.
That was a great pickup by Shaq, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, the Blount, you can't be starting a guy like Blount against the Jets defense.
Yeah, that did not work out well. Minus 0.3. So if I would say anything for Shaq, I mean, I know Washington had a big game in Crabtree, but might grab a wide receiver. Rashard Jennings with 1.9, not great with not a lot on the bench. So, he might be in the market for a running back here as well.
Yeah, and some guys that could provide some value here. Crabtree, he's had a pretty good season, although I don't know if anyone's really targeting him. So Shaq's a little thin on the keeper slide of things. So it's going to be tough for him to make a move. He might actually have to move someone that's been contributing for him this year if he wants to kind of spread the love out around his team a little more.
Right, and that 2 and 5, it doesn't seem like my man's going to make it into the playoffs this year. So, Marshawn Lynch, someone he could get rid of, might not want to keep. Julio Jones, I don't think he's going anywhere. That guy's a stud. But
he's a stud, but he's also a first rounder. So if Shaq could get a good value keeper out of him, I wouldn't be surprised to see him.
Pull a Benny Zupnik and trade for a keeper boy.
That's the name of the game. That's what this league's all about.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I'd love Julio Jones, so give me a call, Shaq. I'll take him. I could use a wide receiver. So who's up next?
All right, next up, we got the Peppadicks versus Beaver. And, Brett he's shown no signs of slowing down since Big Ben went down. It's pretty impressive, actually. He's got a 3-3 record, but he's towards the top of the league as far as point total. Lamar Miller put up just a monster of a week, leading all scorers, I believe. That wide receiver core, Antonio, Jarvis, Demaryius was on a bye, and he's had a little bit of a down year, but you're going to slot him in, obviously, every week. Brady's really – TJ Yeldon, great pickup. He's their cowbell. He's a potential keeper. So Brett's got a deep lineup. Brett's got keepers. Jake, what do you see out of Brett's team that you like, and maybe if you see anywhere for improvement? I'm maybe a tight end. Maybe I can make a move with Brett.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing 186 points. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. And without Big Ben, I mean, that's the real thing. And even Antonio, I mean, he's putting up 20, but he's not putting up his 30 a week. So, you got to figure that once he gets Big Ben back, he'll get that quarterback boost and like a little extra boost for Antonio too. So.
Yeah, Big Ben, Phil Rivers. I mean, they're gonna get you points. The only negative is he's rocking with Jacksonville and Miami's offense over here. Although they're really starting to turn the corner. I mean, tight end. The kid just needs a tight end, and this lineup looks good. Yeah. Not sure how confident I feel rolling with Lamar Miller and Yeldon. I mean, Miller's got to play the Jets defense. That never works out well. Patriots, Buffalo Bills, a lot of divisional games coming up. TJ Yeldon looked pretty good. So, a tight end, maybe a running back, but I'll take any one of his receivers. He's stacked up.
Yeah, he's stacked up.
Jarvis Landry, LSU, dude is unreal.
He's having a better year this year than his counterpart, Mr.
Yeah. I watched both those dudes play, and they're ridiculous. They're ridiculous. So,
Brady's got a solid team. I mean, maybe tight end. So we could talk about Gronk sometime because he definitely got some pieces to move.
Yeah, that would be devastating for the league. So don't do that. But
let's move over to the Beaver side of things, where
Beaver. I talked to him yesterday. I told him his picks were just ludicrous and showing with his team 112 points. I mean,
there was a point where it looked like his team could, as I said, unconventional on the upswing. But DeAndre Hopkins is legit, but Macklin's out. when he had the Hopkins, Macklin, Matthews combo getting him 60 points a week, just through volume, I thought that he had a pretty solid lineup. But
yeah, I mean, trade value, you can get rid of Stafford. I might take him, but Nick Foles, not a starter. He's playing 2 backup running backs. Just not going to cut it. Hopkins a stud off week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Green, Beckham, Tavon Austin. I don't even know half the kids on his team. So
yeah, it looks like he should be playing for a keeper at this point.
He should pick a couple keepers and see if someone will pick up something. But Mariota, Hill, his team could be good next year if he doesn't make ridiculous picks. So he's got some keepers on the bench, but not this year, Beaver.
Yep, I agree. All right, next matchup, moving right along here. We got the Scarsdale Savannah Cats versus the Fuck Boys.
So, I mean,
someone had to win this matchup, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dickhead's team is real solid. He's having a rough go at it, but
I think this might be his lowest scoring week, actually. But yeah, I mean, you know, Peyton hasn't been Peyton, but he got that depth. I mean, he's got Brady and Newton, so no one's going to fault his quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of which, there's his trade value, you know? Like, got to get rid of one of those quarterbacks.
I mean, Brady, not only is he an MVP, but he also got him in the 3rd round because that was before the suspension. So he could potentially be one of the most valuable keepers in the league, as well as someone that could help a team. So, I mean, he could probably trade him for a QB and some other studs elsewhere if he finds a team that's out of it, that's willing to just break the bank for Brady.
I mean,
obviously that's not the guy he wants to trade, but
I don't think Brady's going anywhere.
he has immense value. I mean, Adam potentially has the 2 best keepers in the league, and Brady I'm looking at, and Devonta Freeman, obviously. I mean, this is the 2nd year in a row that Adams just had the stud. Last year was Odell. This year it's Freeman. So he's got the foresight. He's got the point totals, but he just can't seem to put it all together. So
yeah, to me, it's just I bet you if you look at adding bench points in, he might have the most points out of anyone. The guy leaves 80 points a week on the bench. I mean, he had 4 people on bye, and he left 43 points on the bench.
Yeah, it's pretty damn impressive. I gotta say. I mean,
I don't know who you should trade, but trade those people because they would get you a lot of value. I mean,
I may have to take Ryan Matthews off his hands from
bench. I'll take his starting lineup. He should make some deals. Quarterback, get rid of someone.
I still think Adam could use a second, real tight end. Real wide receiver to pair up with Beckham. I like Steve Smith, but I think Dougie Baldwin is a little light in terms of a contending team. You don't really want to be starting him. So yeah. Alan Hines is good. I like that Jaguars offense this year. So he doesn't have to make a move, but he's got so much depth it would be a sin for him not to. So
yeah, it's true. And then you have Mr. Higgins and Case. And they look like they're bound for the playoffs, and
somehow, some way.
God bless them. They're playing my game. Just have a shit team and beat teams.
Although they're only going to be 4-3 after this week, so I mean they got off to start, but they're going to need some guys. I mean, Brandon Cooks looks like he might be hitting a little bit of a stride. I mean, he's like one good week all season, and a couple of mediocre weeks. So he really needs his stars. I mean, Adrian Peterson's got to start scoring some touchdowns. I think he probably will. Derek Carr is looking like a great pick and potentially a keeper. So, Mettenberger's not going to cut it, but Cutler will be back. The team, there's no real holes. I like Willie Snead. He put up a dud this week, but maybe a tight end and
he could use a running back too. Except McFadden with 30 points. So if McFadden plays football. He's scary, but
behind that Cowboys offensive line, if he's big and he's strong, so if he could get a couple yards running full steam, you got to take things against a grain of salt because it was the Giants defense, which just tends to make people look amazing when they're not so. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to find a hole in this team, but
I'd say tight end and running back for you, Mr. Higgins. That's what I would target. So,
yeah, you got it. If you're gonna make a playoffs, you got to build up that team.
Trending up right now. Owen and Case trending down. We'll see what happens.
That's right. That's right. All right, moving right along. We got the Chosen Ones versus Going in Heavy, and this was a tough week for Jakey.
Blood.
You had a tough matchup. I've had Miles at the top of the power rankings all week. So tell me what you think. I'll let you lead on this one.
Bloodbath, bro. Bloodbath.
I don't know how Miles loses ever, but I guess he's got
destroyed by Miles, and he sat. This is scary. He sat Randall Cobb, Emmanuel Sanders, and Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I mean those are three huge contributors on a weekly basis, and he's still
right. Miles doesn't even. He has 2 empty spots on his bench. He doesn't even pick up bench boys.
Only one's an IR, but
his team is so solid.
So solid. But he needs a tight end. You know what? I'm starting to think that Gronk's more valuable because all these stud teams, they just need tight ends. So
yeah, Larry Donnell. Larry Cooper, Calvin Johnson, Ingram. I mean, Duke Johnson. But he's got his 3.
He's got four wide receivers he has to start on a weekly basis.
It's scary. So
Randall,
don't do anything. Your team is stacked. I hope you lose. That's my.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do anything.
I hope it comes back to bite you, but I wouldn't make a trade. Your team's doing all right.
Yeah.
My team, I still think my team's atrocious. I'm trending down, but I've won a lot of games, and Doug Martin's always good for 20 points. It appears. Teddy
Johnson looks like he might be carving out a role for himself too.
Yeah, sat him this week. Abdullah, I thought was going to be a stud. He's terrible. I could really use a wide receiver. Golden Tate might have been the worst pick in this year's draft in the 3rd round. John Brown looks decent.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on John Brown before this year. I think that silly touchdown dance he did last year kind of put me off from him. But he what was that, the peanut butter jelly? I don't know, some like ridiculous thing where he's flailing his arms and his legs. But he's legit. He's not a circus show. He catches the ball. And
much a high-powered offense. Brown, except not as good. But to be honest, I could use another running back. Jamal Charles really hurts.
Yeah.
Frank Gore hasn't been what I thought he was going to be. But Alshon Jeffrey can get you 40 every night. Olsen can break out. I got a lot of could break out players, but that aren't as consistent.
So, very volatile team. High ceiling, kind of some low floor players, which doesn't always lead to success. But hey, you're 5-1, so you're pretty much playoff bound, barring something unforeseen. So a couple big weeks in a row. I mean, Drew Brees is liable to go off for a big week any week, and you're going to be there at the end of the year. You definitely got some talent.
Yeah, well, they're all on the block, so anyone wants to make a deal, I'm trading.
Jake's the one guy that doesn't need a tight end so far, so I don't know that I have any value for him. But
I'll take Gronkowski. I'll always take him. Who's next?
Who's next up? We got the Weeple Watchers. We got Lally versus Netflix and Chill, Stasio.
All right.
So we got last year's champ versus maybe this year's front runner, although I still have Miles in the front runner. So we'll start with Lally. He's on the losing end of this week's matchup. Stas is going to continue on undefeated to 7-0 without any keepers, which in and of itself is pretty damn impressive. But let's focus on Lally first. Russell Wilson has been a bit of a disappointment. I mean, he's been solid, but he's not been what you want from a first-round pick. Carson Palmer, on the other hand, has been really good for a later pick. So, Tom, you got a potential keeper there. He's solid enough at quarterback. He's got Matt Forte on bye, so his running backs this week look pretty weak, and Dion Lewis is out. So I had that in my preview in the power rankings last week that he's going to be short. He's going to be light and on running back, and that came true. Edelman's a stud. He didn't have a great week. He's got to get Dez back, but if he tread water.
Edelman was on Revis Island for most of the game.
True, this is a good point.
One of those 11.5 points, one of those receptions was a 21-yard reception on 3rd and 17, not against Revis, which should have never happened and cost my poor Jets the game. But yeah, I mean, Tommy
Stephon Diggs. I never even heard of him before a couple weeks ago, but he looks like he could be a keeper.
Yeah, he looks like a beast. But I mean, Tommy's team last year, you looked at it, and running back, running back, running back. He had Hill, Forte, Le'Veon Bell, just all going off.
Mhm.
And now it's Matt Jones, C. Michael. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, but you know what? I see. You know, he'll get Forte back off by, and he'll get Dion Lewis back from injury, who's been a PPR monster. So I see Tommy. You know, when his team if he could make the playoffs, he's gonna be a tough team. I mean, he's got no real weaknesses. You know, you look at a wide receiving core of Julian Edelman and Des Bryant as the 1 and 2. So, you know, he as always, Tommy puts up a good roster. His team's not where he wants it to be right now. But I see him as a contender.
I see Tommy as making, as always, savvy pickups off the waiver wire. He has Barnage, this guy Diggs. I mean, Melvin Gordon. He's got some keepers. Des Bryant obviously is an animal. So if he comes back, that'll be huge. But I think he's 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. So he could sneak in the playoffs and make a run, but he's got to get a running back to pair with Matt Forte. You know, maybe another wide receiver, although Dez is like picking up a wide receiver.
You're not sold on Mr. Dion Lewis as a PPR?
Oh yeah, he's a beast. I guess I'm thinking Patriots. They didn't throw or run the ball to the running back, but he's a beast. And Melvin Gordon, I don't know. Yeah, I mean Tommy's team is solid, but I'd upgrade and pick up a beast running back and maybe get another receiver in there.
All right. Moving to the other side of the aisle, we got the undefeated Stasio. Well, I'm an asshole. I dropped Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you gotta love Stas picking up Kirk Cousins and having him go for 32. That's amazing.
Look at who he's got on bye. He's got Aaron Rodgers and AJ Green on bye. Still pulls off the win. You know, he didn't lead the league in points this week, but I know like he got Danny Woodhead on the bench, 30.
Yeah, 50.
Kendrick West, 24.
Yeah, Stas and Tommy are kind of similar. Just making savvy pickups, but yeah, Stas' team is legit. Arian Foster going down. I mean,
yeah, that hurts.
He had 30 points for him before he went down. This guy's just an animal.
That's more why I don't like Arian Foster in the beginning of the season. Not even waiting for him to get healthy, but knowing that he'd go back down. But you know what? I said at the beginning of the year, or I meant to, if I didn't, that if one of the two between Gurley and Foster pans out, then this team is something to contend with. And Todd Gurley, he might actually be the best keeper in the league when it's all said and done. I mean, he's an absolute stud. Jimmy Graham has better weeks ahead of him. I mean, this team, you know, Gurley and Ivory, that's good enough at quarterback. Smith and Rodgers, that's good enough at quarterback. Gurley and Ivory, that's good enough at running back. And those wide receivers, you know, with Fitzgerald having a great year. So obviously Stas is 7-0 for a reason.
Yeah, it's his team is stacked. I mean, 56 points on the bench. Gurley's beast. Ivory had an off week and got him 13.3 with a receiving touchdown. I mean, yeah, he might need to pick up a wide receiver. Fitzgerald, Torrey Smith, and Stevie Johnson.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think you could use another wide receiver.
AJ Green and Fitzgerald's a good receiving core, but yeah, I would go after a receiver for him. Maybe you don't need a tight end, but yeah.
You got Deshaun Jackson maybe coming back too, but I don't know what you could rely on that offense. You know, I know Cousins had a huge week, but I wouldn't think that's going to be the norm. So I agree. I think that's the move for Stas to make, if any.
Yeah, congrats, Stas. Team stacked.
Great team, great draft, great pickups, and when you look at your roster, you wouldn't think that you were the expansion team. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
All right, so moving on to the last matchup, we got the One Train versus Euro Trippin', and this looks like this looks like maybe turning things. I mean, it might be too little, too late for Ziegel and Zahner, or for team, I guess Ziegel, Zahner and Siegel. But I mean, they're rattling off a second win in a row. They're going to be 2-5, and I think you'd be surprised how this league could turn out, because you get half the teams making the playoffs, so it might not be too late. But at the same time, this team might want to make a move for a keeper because they're so far out of it. But I mean, you look at Siegel and Zahner's roster. I mean, they took a big bet on him, and that hasn't panned out. But Tannehill, he's definitely a serviceable quarterback in this league. We'll see what happens with Josh McCown. I'm not sure what he's supposed to do. I mean, then you look past that. You got Le'Veon and McCoy. I mean, that's a running back core you can put out there every week and be confident. I think Bell's got better days. I think McCoy, I'm sorry, has better days ahead of him this season. T.Y. Hilton is gonna start going off now that Luck's hitting his stride, but again, they're still a little light.
Hilton had a monster game.
Yeah, they're still light though behind that. I mean, they bet big on Cruz, and he still hasn't even played it down. And you got to think that even if he does play, it's going to take him a couple weeks to get back into form. So that'll be too late to help. So Siegel and Zahn either got Martavius Bryant. He seems to be on the uptrend. He had a huge week 2 weeks ago and a pretty decent week last week. So I'd say either make a move for a wide receiver to contend this year, or punt to next year and try to get some keepers, because there's definitely some talent on this. I mean, any teams would be willing to take Le'Veon Bell or T.Y. Hilton or Tannehill. There's some guys that could really help a contender. So
yeah, I would probably make a move. I highly doubt they do make a move.
Yeah, they're kind of absentee owners, but you got to make a move one way or another. You got to either try to build for this year or build for next
year. Siegel, you won't watch this, so
yeah, I was just thinking.
There's no chance that you make a move. Neither one of you will watch this. So, yeah, their team is not going to make it. Don't really want to spend too much time here since they won't, respond there.
But I bet you Matty will watch this, and Matt's got an interesting team.
Probably will. Matt put his whole team on the trading block, so that's a good sign.
I really like that the B Marshall Fitzgerald package that he had going on, but just too many missed. And Matt Ryan had down week, but just too many missed opportunities. I mean, I like Latavius Murray and Joseph Randle going into the season in theory. It just hasn't panned out. Murray's been decent. Randle's been pretty bad, other than that one huge game he put up. Just the wide receiving core. I mean, James Jones was a nice pickup, but just that missed bet with Andre Johnson in the third round is huge. He's since dropped his big keeper in C.J. Anderson. I mean, maybe Ronnie Hillman might have a good second half of the year, but it's going to be tough for Matty to climb out of this, and he might be another candidate for keepers. It certainly looked like it.
Yeah, I think Matt needs to trade Matt Ryan, Brandon Marshall for a couple keepers.
You don't think Marshall's a keeper? I don't know what round he got Marshall. Marshall might be a keeper, although who knows how well he'll play, if he'll age gracefully or not.
Yeah, I just never trust a jet receiver. That's my motto. So maybe I'm wrong, but Danny Amendola had a sick week. I was looking at him in free agency. That was a good play.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row. And I mean, Amendola, he was a PPR monster. I forget who his quarterback was back in the day when he was in St. Louis, but
Bradford maybe.
Was it Bradford? Yeah, it might have been. I think it might have been. But I mean, his big knock was always not being able to stay healthy. And if you think there's not enough targets in that New England defense, you might be right because they spread it around. But I think if he shows he's consistent, then he could be a weekly contributor. So
yeah, Fitzpatrick. I mean, 20 points. He looked good. So
yeah, Fitzpatrick does look really good.
I personally, I'll take your kicker. I need a kicker. Vinatieri sucks. So kicker's putting up 20 points. I'll give you a keeper for your kicker, Lanza.
All right, so it sounds like both these teams, both Siegel and Lanza, are with the win by Siegel. They're both 2-5. They both look like they're probably playing for next year, maybe making a move for a keeper. So we'll see what they end up doing. But
Lanza will make a trade. Siegel's gonna stay pat. But yeah, so real quick, my rundown is I think you gotta give Stas first place. The kid hasn't lost. So I think Miles' team is probably better, but Stas 1, Miles 2, and then I'll let you take it from there. I have no opinion. But I got a problem with you giving Miles #1 spot when Stas is undefeated.
I got to take a look at them this week when I do my normal power rankings, but I don't think I could knock Miles out of the top spot. I mean, he led the league in scoring again this week. He's led the league in scoring in the league's history. I know it's not his.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree there, but Stas is about to be 7-0. So
That's impressive. I mean, there's nothing wrong with number 2, but
5-2 versus 7-0. But I agree, Miles' team is better.
Yeah, so it sounds like me and Jake are disagreeing or agreeing to disagree on that, but we seem to agree on a lot of the week rundowns. I mean, you guys could see it for yourself. The numbers are there. Some teams are. I think a lot more teams are in it. I mean, I don't think that anyone's technically out of it. I mean, some of the teams with worse records and maybe weaker rosters want to think about making a trade for a keeper, but I think we might have even moved up the trade deadline, but I like it because you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice whether you're playing for this year or not before you really know. So,
just to reiterate, the trade deadline is this Thursday.
It's this Thursday at noon. Yeah, it's October 29th at 12 p.m. So that's noon on Thursday. I'll make another post because who knows how many people are going to make it this far through the video. We've been recording for a while now, but yeah, the trade deadline's coming up, and I've heard I've heard crickets so far. So
all right, man, get trading, and I'll see you folks later.
Get to it, Peppers. Thank you, Jake, again for being my first guest of the year. It's a big time move by you, good sir.
No problem.
Good luck. Your team's always contending, even though you're the eternal pessimist. You got a championship behind you in your trophy case, and you'll be there at the end of the year too. Maybe not in the championship, but in the playoffs for sure and contending. So,
all right, brother, man. Peace.
All right. Thanks, Jakey. Peace.